I want to welcome everyone to another edition of Channel for the Soul Live. And I'm going to tap into the nature of the Jewish settlers, right? How many people want to know how hard it is to hear the visions of love from those souls who are being obstructed in justice, right? Most people are afraid to hear what a Jewish settler from past might say about the situation in the United Kingdom, right? No, this is not where we're at. We're not here to talk about the Jewish settlers of yesteryear. However, for those of us who understand the strife or the destruction of those minds and those bodies, right? I could go to that nature of the Jewish settlers or settlements. Many would say it's the next generation's strife. It's going to continue on for eons, is what some people would say. But it's not exactly true. More and more generations of souls are enlightening themselves to the nature of love, of all. Whether or not they agree with their points of view is of no, it's like no matter. We just realize that we're all here working our hearts out, trying to align with those souls who can lift us up into a better freedom of soul. How many say, I just want to be free from the visions of those who watch out for me versus those who guide me? See, there's a difference between those who come through in the vision of an angel versus those who would come through as an honest Abe, right? You see, many would hold on to the love of an angel for as long as they could and say, thank you for your words of wisdom. How many would say, I honor the vision of a soul who has transcended himself as a soul, right? It's an it, basically. What sex they choose to align with in various visions is not for me to say. At some point it becomes obvious that we don't. We are souls. We align with men, women, children, black, white, red, yellow. It makes no difference. What we don't do is we don't align with the visions of separation that men have placed upon our hearts. And when we say men, we of course don't mean to exclude the vision of the female counterparts. It would be one of those visions of constriction for me. In my mind, I see the visions of love being brought forth in male form only, in many visions of love. So when my heart says to my soul, it's okay, we can align with the men as well. Men and women are not to be treated differently in this world. At some point, it doesn't mean we don't caretake our hearts through this process of going to a different realm with a different light, with a different heart. The mindset is beautiful. The beauty of our souls climbs to those highest regions of our hearts, right? The minds are where we go. But our hearts are what align us to the nature of love for all souls. If you can make it there, it's not a requirement to join with your own hearts. So as we see the strife in the world, we would want to take care of our hearts gently, holding out our hands to our souls, saying, align me with those visions of love that can understand the heartbreak for those of us who hear the visions of soul, and for those of us who hear the vision of an angel, trying to bring through the healing message of love for those who need it. How many people deny the vision of angels even in the spiritual realms, right? Not many. They are those beings of love and light that lighten our load, lift us up in our hearts, remember who we are. That's the guidance for today. Let's remember who we are in our hearts. Did I align with George Jefferson in the moment at one point? That was one soul's vision of love, not only for all souls, but in essence, it's a beautiful expression of why didn't I align with his heart in the moment, right? How many people didn't watch those shows because they went against their vision of race, right? The equality of the races is still there. We are no different. We can say what we want about the genes or whatnot. When we rise in those visions of love, we can create the disparities, of course, if we need to. But we don't decide to do it most often, for it doesn't serve us at this point in time. Now, for those of us who are on the path of destruction, that might be one road down it's like the trail of paths. That would be one path towards another kind of soul. However, if we want to stay on the field of vision of love for the angel energy, we would say his vision was lifted. That vision was a character that was played, right? So it was the vision of soul would have been, I am loved by the angels. Okay. Men and women need to align themselves with the beauty of sexual relations in various ways, shapes, and forms. I could go into the visions of why my heart often disagrees with those in various books. If you don't align with the vision of transvestites or transsexuals, I will honor that vision for you. But I will also say we already know there are value systems out there that can lift themselves past that idea that men and women are separate and that their bodies are only one projection of who they are in one moment, in one place, and on one certain experience of a timeline. There are multi-visions of love that can come through at this point. Okay. When people go to that vision of love for guidance or soul work, you will get the visions of male and female brought to you in the vision of uniting in the energy. And that is where many go. If you ever have united with another soul from another plane of awareness, from another vision, from another lifetime, they're all creating there, visually stunning, always helping us to understand it is not to be seen as negative. Whether you believe in the vision of souls who express as something other than what they were deemed at birth, then you can align yourself with that vision, depending on if you understand that once we go to the level of soul, we're not in our bodies. You understand that we rise out of the vision of my body. We don't create visions of destruction for everybody, do we? By denying people their hearts? Let's open our hearts to the nature of love, where we say, let's not deny people their visions of love. So if you find yourself in the vision of denying love, that would be part of that vision. Do I deny you your love of God or of Jesus? No. I would say honor that vision. Many will say I do by using those visions that were brought to me, my hearts, my souls. We were all there creating beautiful visions. It was one soul's vision of what was needed in one moment, in one place, in one timeline. We're growing, we're expanding, we're enlightening ourselves to the nature of love from various cultures, various visions of what love is or is not, right? It is all deemed of love when you go to those higher realms of understanding. And that's why many call upon the angels, not even realizing that those visions are of non-gender. So if we are aligning with those here who are feeling like they don't align with one gender or other, can we not see them as future visions of angels who might be feeling it in this body? I'm not aligning with one or the other. That's an angel soul in some ways. Do you want to understand why people start to reject that vision immediately? How many people understand we're bringing forth the vision of love from Michael, right? Archangel Michael. It's a male name in a non-male form. I may have resided in the vision of male at one point in time, but do I go to that heavenly realm where I then realize that my vision was never meant to be on this plane? There are distinct understandings about certain souls' visions of whether angels would or would not have walked the plane of earth. And you will get some souls who indeed will claim that the angel energies are of all, therefore they would unite in the vision of those who walked the plane of earth, and they would enlighten themselves to that vision before they would come through with the energy. Because in essence, why would I ever disagree with an angel? That's the nature of love. We start to embody those visions ourselves when we go down the path of religion or spirituality for the most part. It depends. Most are in the vision of God as well. Whether or not they take on those visions of angels is a whole different story. It's the beauty of creation as we know it. And so those who are in the vision of I love who I am, wherever I reside, in the peace, and it's like the peace and freedom movement. Okay, not all of us can feel those beautiful vibrations within our soul. Some of us feel the heavenly realms as the place to be, and that's where the George Jefferson vision, it is of a television show. There is a soul there that says, I was the creator of that vision, and I wanted to bring through the vision of love for all. Okay? But there is another vision on the line. And that would be the soul of the actor who actually played that part. But do we understand how influential those visions were for us? So in my heart, I was always of the acceptance of love for all. And then I said, I'm not sure what that means. What does acceptance mean to a soul like me? Do I accept the people that hurt me and say thank you for hurting me again and again and again? I do not. And that's where those visions of love come through very strong, to say we start to adjust the vision. Those are those souls that want to vibrate in the beauty of church or in the beauty of spiritual realms. And then we get to lift ourselves up to that nature of I love who I am. I love who I am. I love who I am. Whether I am in that phase of development of love, anger, hatred, Jesus, guidance, it's all part of our plan of enlightenment. So just because your own vision of Jesus may not coincide with the vision that I was brought up with in my heart, doesn't mean that I don't align with it in my soul. Okay, so all souls come together in creating the vision of beloved for our hearts. Okay, what I am or am not is of no consequence. I Jesus my soul every so often to see how it feels. That's where many go. They feel like they're embodying the soul of Jesus. And his vision is you would need to be very, very high in order to reach that vibration. Usually it's your soul coming through saying, believe it or not. I have felt that vision. Many will. If we align with those visions of love for all souls, we can align with, it's like wristwatch. Someone's wearing a wristwatch, telling themselves, get to the show. This isn't always about the nature of a good time, okay? Good time Charlie Sheen, was being held as less than. Many of you would say, I don't want to align with that vision of celebrity because it doesn't align with those who I respect in my mind. And yet, in his heart, he says, I'm suffering the consequences of those around me. He's blaming others for his vision, right? It's the nature of love for those souls. He will be reunited with his family in many ways, taken care of always by his soul, honored by his heart, knowing deep down inside, I did the best that I could with what I had in the moment, with what I thought I had in the moment. Now, let's align with those souls who can create the beauty of future. Those souls who work their magic, say thank you so much for the freedom to be able to predict the outcomes of plenty. Plenty of people are predicting tragedy in the world. Plenty of people are aligning with the vision of fear of it. Versus, let's just enjoy the ride. If we're planting those seeds of destruction for many, wouldn't we want to know how to get to a different plane of understanding? Or would we actually take action in our hearts so that we don't actually create the vision of it? Some things will be deemed of importance in this plane and will indeed need to be brought through as an experience for the planet. And this is why we are joining with her in the vision of the rebirthing of what's our planet. It's the globe. So it's not about the nature, right? We're not going to create floods and destruction, right? There's places that are experiencing that. Please don't deem that of destroying our planet, okay? There is a distinct understanding about who gets to plant the seeds of what. Who looks out for us in those times of tragedy? Are we the ones creating those visions? You better believe we're creating visions of destruction in our hearts and minds. When we wake up to the nature of let's create values that lift us up into those visions of we don't need to create tragedy for every soul. It's just about whether or not we honor the visions of those of us that are going through those tragic situations in the moment. Let's take our hearts out, right? And say to ourselves, I love who I am, but I'm here to help others as well. Not everyone is here to help everybody else. You see, that's the nature. Don't expect for everyone to be on the same page when it comes to guidance, soul work, okay? Joy. The joy is losing out in this world based on the nature of tragedy. But it was a collective vision that we often have to go to in order to rise into those visions of joy. Joy comes to those who plant the seeds for it. I'm in love. That's usually where people go. I love you. Those are those visions of joy, right? We feel the love, we experience the love, we hand it out to others. And we say it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, how you are, you will look beautiful to your soul. You will rise into the nation. Others will say that the vision that other cultures or other religions are of less than have never, ever dealt the death blow to a soul. I've had plenty of people, as Brenda knows, we give her the death toll of people who are going to be gone from COVID. Okay, that's the nature of where she rises. It's like the rising tide of awareness. She knows those visions are there. Please don't invest a lot of energy in the destruction of the planet. It's about lightening ourselves up. I'm aware of the differences of my mind and my heart. That's all. So we aware ourselves, right? We get aware. Are we more aware of the planet's ability to change itself in form? The fires, the floods, right? The nature of disease. Who planted that seed of destruction? We need it to rebirth ourselves sometimes. We create those visions. We have helpers who help us along in our visions, by the way. Bending over backwards to help the planet realign itself with the nature of love is where we often find ourselves. And many will look at that vision and say, it's too fruity, or it's too much. I don't need to know how to heal the planet. We do so with our minds for the most part, but we open our hearts to the nature of those who say, it's time, it's time. Men, women, children will all align in the beauty of who they are at some point in time. Whether or not you do so here or on another plane of awareness makes no difference to any of our souls. It's about the union of beauty. So we have another vision coming on the line. It's the union of the snake. Okay, this would be a song. And it's meant to align with those souls who are of age, who know that song, who know that vision, who would cry if they understood that they are going to reunite in the flesh with a certain band member on a certain channel of the soul at some point in time. Memories of bands are often very fascinating to many because those visions are of joy, reunions, and memories. We are often energetically sensitive to the souls of love, the memories of my love for music. It's an energy vibration that is beautiful. They would say thank you for the honoring of our hearts. They were indeed very famous for years and years, and they still reside in the vision of we've got what it takes to come back. I'm going to do another session with someone on the line at some point, but in the vision of Duran Duran, I would say, have fun. Go see them. They want to be held in the energy of love, like they receive from their fans. But at some point in their hearts, they reside in those visions of, we do what we do so we can feel the music, feel the vibration, feel the energy, feel the beauty of the words. We were ahead of our time. Most people just didn't listen. They felt the vibration. They felt the guidance. They saw the sexiness of the souls, but they weren't actually listening. They weren't acknowledging the work it took to get to that level of fame, the work it took, the tired bodies after we got off stage, the exhaustion, the neighbors of our souls who would say they rock out, right? They were of pop in their minds for the most part. And they say, it's because we like to feel good. And that was the nature of love. They handed it to us very, very strongly. Men up on stage, females come to the forefront. We know how to heal those visions of love for all souls. Most people don't realize they're creating with the vision of Jesus as well. So if those souls, if you're in the vision of, I am just as strong in my love of the choir music as I am the Gospels, right? The Gospels are just as strong in those ability to lift people to those higher realms. So whatever vision of love you have, and oh man, Simon Le Bon is coming through in that vision. It is his soul. It would not be the man as he was in his moments, creating beauty, saying, I love who I am. Oh, I feel good. That's the nature of light. So for those of you who want to feel the beauty of your bands, we would say, listen to the words of many. Vibrate in the music as well. But feel the visions that we placed upon our hearts and honor those visions of growth. We changed our series of visions throughout the years with the understandings that we had about our nature and the world. We wanted to align with those who wanted to help people in their desperate times. Those aid years, right? Many would say those were the best years of our lives. And we plant the seeds of past as if it is all there for us to reminisce about, without actually understanding that I create with them when I hear their visions all the time. So their souls are very much lifted up by the fans that still continue to play their music, honor their hearts, honor their wisdom, remember the words. And that song particularly is going to resonate with certain people on the screen at some point. Members of society often dismiss the views of band members as less than because they are not as political in their expression potentially, and yet in their hearts they know we vibrate in it. We're the ones doing a lot of the messaging to the generations, and that's the nature of many who can honor that vision. I use the vision of music to lift me up or to take me to that place of distress, depending on what kind of music I might be listening to, or the words of a song. We place our hearts out on the screen. We place our hearts out in our songs, right? This is the nature of many. If you are in that vision of listening to the songs of Red Rover, these are the childhood dreams. So for the children of past, we would say, let's honor those visions of those of us who grew up in certain eras of time. Let's remember the beauty of childhood as a place of wonder, reuniting with the vision of joy. Many are being concerned about the nature of ideological visions being placed upon the souls of children too early, and in agreement with the majority of those souls that would say, our children are in the vision of joy. Whether they actually acknowledge it or not, we would hope that those visions of childhood joy continue to be created for them, whether or not they align with the vision of my life is not as joyful as others. So let's unite in the vision of raising all of our children in their own ways that makes them of the highest of the high, right? That's the nature of joy. It doesn't have to be of a certain book or plane of awareness. Let's just find the joy for their hearts in whatever ways we can. And if their vision is, I love to listen to music that doesn't resonate with my family, we would say, let's honor that vision. It is of love. The nature of some would say it is of destruction. But to be honest, in some ways, our visions may need to go through that vision in order to lift us up to a different understanding about where we are in our minds. Now that's the nature where certain bands would come through potentially and say, yes, my music was of destruction, but that was the nature of what we felt like needed to happen. We are angry, let us express. We are hurt, let us express. We are no longer deemed beautiful, let us express. Okay? So if beautiful visions of Duran Duran are still around, they're saying, yeah, we had to have our hats handed to us by many who said we were no longer valid for the time in which we live. That's not the nature of it. Some bands come and go. Others will rise with the awareness. Others will say, we just want to do what our hearts say to do. Others are saying, I'm not allowed to do what I want to do. I'm being dictated to by my visions of its agency. But the birth of industry standards is what causes a lot of duress in the minds of those souls. We couldn't do what we wanted to do is where many go. We're starting to see the independent music scene come alive. Thank you very much for that nature that says we fought for the vision of freedom from structure of souls. So, if we would align with the soul of, it's like people are going to assume that the soul of a band, it's not all just one soul's vision. He's going to unite with his soulmates and say, we were a team unit for so long, and we had to break up, come together in various ways, break up in other ways, come together again in order to see the beauty of all of us in our moments. We're not going to align with the vision of heavenly realms very often, but they're not in there as of yet. They love to enjoy their soulmates. So that's the nature. They said we had a lot of soulmates. If you go by certain visions of love, who would say the intimacy of their hearts is not going to be discussed on the screen. But it's beautiful visions of love for her and for her heart, for saying we still love our music no matter what. I could line with the vision of spiritual beauty that's being brought through. I love certain albums that bring me to those visions of love for all. But all music, in essence, is a portrayal of one vision of it, whether we want to align with it or not. So don't disserve others by saying there's something wrong with their music. Let them express their visions of joy or hatred or anger or ecstatic states. We have trance visions. We have all kinds of visions. Those are those visions that are going to go high. So, invest in technology. That's another vision for the majority of souls who knew way ahead of time that the technology realms are going to expand our vision of love for all of us very soon. Marriage, children, it's like the green acres. There's another person who feels that vision of greener pastures are ahead of us. Okay? We don't have to plant fields of destruction. Those visions can come through if there is a need for it in various visions. You can align with those visions or not. But do remember the casualties, which is what we often do in various segments of war. And in others, we forget the destruction as it was. Encourage people to relive it again. Let's hope and pray in the views of love that we don't ever destroy our planet, our vision of freedom, our vision of love, our vision of charity, our vision of gorgeous souls, right? These are all those visions. It's not about the outer expression of beauty. It's about the nature of who am I when I'm in my light? Do I align with those who view me as beautiful in my heart? Not just my mind. But that's where the bonding of minds comes in for the most part. The majority of people will bond with their minds, not with their hearts. But it's okay, it's all beautiful. And eventually, that's where you do create those visions of love. You align with your minds and your hearts start to expand. And that's the beauty of shows. So with this, we're going to say, thank you for a beautiful vision. Open up our hearts, our souls, and our minds to the nature of love for all. May we all be blessed with peace, prosperity, health, and love. And take care and have a beautiful day.